So in the previous video, I gave you a brief introduction about what is economics, and we also talked about macroeconomics versus microeconomics. And within microeconomics, we discussed about what is theory of the consumer and theory of the firm. So let me take you further from here. To start with, let's try to understand what is demand. And before we go further, let's have a look at this video. So what did we understand from this video? We saw that when the seller decreases the price of each basket, the buyer wants to buy more. In other words, lower the price of the good, higher is the quantity demanded. So if I summarize what we saw in the form of a table, you can see that for different values of price, the quantity demanded changes but in the opposite direction, which means for every price increase, there is a decrease in the quantity demanded. So if we plot a graph using data from this table, we get a downward sloping graph like this. So this is nothing but the law of demand, which states that higher the price, lower is the quantity demanded, and vice versa. Now, just like price, there are other factors also which affect the quantity demanded for every good. Say, for example, some consumers may like coffee, but some other may prefer tea to coffee. So we can see that customer preferences also is one of the important determinants of demand. Now, what about consumer expectations? Suppose I'm a consumer and I believe that the prices of tomatoes may go up next week or the prices of onions may rise next week. So what do? So I tend to buy more of tomatoes or more of onions this week. So what has happened? The demand for tomatoes and onions has gone up because of the consumer expectation that the prices of these commodities may rise next week. So similar is the case with income. So if I have a higher income, I tend to buy more and more, right? So if my income increases, I may choose to shift from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. And if my income further increases, then I may choose to shift from a 3-bedroom to a townhouse. So what is happening again? It is the income which is driving the demand in the housing sector. Now take the example of a conventional car and gasoline. We all know that a car needs gasoline to run. So likewise, the demand for gasoline also to a certain extent depends on the demand for cars. Now in this case, car and gasoline are called complementary goods. Now let's take another example. Let's consider a normal gas run car and an electric car. Now suppose the price of electric car decreases due to some kind of, say, a promotional offer. Now there is a high chance that lot of customers might switch to electric cars and sell off their gas run cars. So electric cars here in this case serve as a substitute for normal gas run cars. So gas run cars and electric cars can be considered as substitute goods. Many times, prices of complementary goods and substitute goods play an important role in determining the demand for a particular good. Let's look at this video. visualize everything in the form of an equation. So the demand function is something like this. Qx is a function of Px, I and Py. So Qx is nothing but the quantity demanded for good X in terms of number of units, and Px is the price per unit of good X, I is the income, and Py is the price per unit of good Y, where good Y can either be a substitute or a complement. Now, because the quantity demanded depends on the other variables, it is called a dependent variable. Likewise, the other variables, that is Px and income and Py, they cause changes in the quantity demanded. They are called independent variables.